this week we're talking to Mail and Guardian reporter Nireen Tulsi about international trends in balancing security policing and civil liberties. Now, this comes after police in the US questioned the suspected Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev without reading him his Miranda rights. So the question there is whether a concern for public safety overrides personal freedoms, and this is particularly pertinent in South Africa because we've got serious issues with police brutality, misconduct, and even torture. So tell us a little bit more about some of the worldwide trends regarding civil and human rights of terrorist suspects. This is the concerns of the state and community safety.
It seems that Western governments especially, and it's becoming a trend also in places like Kenya, I think, Somalia, etc., they appear to justify a retraction of civil and human rights on the basis that these are exceptional circumstances, that this is a new war that we're fighting, where the combatants on the other side don't subscribe to the tenets of the Geneva Convention. So Western governments themselves have to respond in a different way, in a sort of a more repressive way. And we see that, yes, Guantanamo Bay. We see that in targeted killings by the U.S. government. We see that the use of drones. You look at what happened after 9/11. I mean, it's a worldwide trend. There seems to be an exceptionalism when it comes to who are construed as terror suspects and what their rights are.
Why should trends concern us here in South Africa?
When the Poor People's Alliance in Cape Town decided to occupy Rondebosch Common, the response by the DA-run municipality was almost mimicking how Bloomberg had responded to Zokoti Park. And again, it was suggested that, well, this is international best practice. It's, this is what the mayor of New York's doing. It must be fine. The way our police operate now is not particularly constitutional. There's lots of evidence of torture, of indiscriminate arrests and assault and harassment, especially of people, of community activists. You'll remember after Marikana, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate released a report of, I think it was like around 150 cases of assault and torture against police with the minors that they'd arrested. So I mean, we have a police force which comes historically from a space where detention without trial, torture was commonplace. And if you analyze sort of the trajectory of most colonies into the post-colony, and you'll notice that Fanonian trend of sort of the liberators taking on the methods and the madness of the oppressors. And we see that now, sort of our police force mimicking what the apartheid police force.
Why are grassroots social activist groups in particular, like Abahlali Bazimjondolo, the land movement, why are they treated with such aggression by police?
Firstly, these activists are working on the ground. They're working in like literally at grassroots level, and they're mobilizing people outside of mainstream politics. They're mobilizing their. They're also, I think, reawakening activism on that level, which is something that people at Malema and the ANC don't actually necessarily do. I mean, Gwede Mantashe was saying during his organizational report at Mangung last year that actually ANC branches don't work at grassroots level. They don't actually. They're not working as activists on the ground. It's just sort of more around sort of how the structure of the ANC feeds power and power feeds them, etc. So I mean, there's a disconnect between mainstream political parties and people on the ground. So these social movements are actually tapping into, moving into that vacuum, and I have been for a very long time. And actually, they represent living politics, which I think most mainstream political organizations are very scared of. But we're still a volatile country with a lot of protest action, and I think we are already facing that. We're already experiencing that. Random arrests, detention, torture. It's still going on.